Hey gardeners, Amy here. Welcome to my garden. Today I want to talk to you about Monarda didyma, or bee-balm. This is a really fun native and there's a lot to know about it, so let's dive in. One thing about these native plant videos that I've been doing is that before I film, I am researching the heck out of them to make sure that everything I think I know about the plant is actually accurate and I'm not missing anything. One thing that really surprised me during my research for this one is exactly how many species there are in the Monarda genus. I was really surprised. I knew there were a few, but I didn't realize just how many there were listed just on Bonap. Some are not found in my area, so that explains why I'd never seen them. But some of them I looked up just out of curiosity, and they're really cool looking. But so specifically today I'm talking about Monarda didyma. So I have two varieties of Monarda didyma here today that I'm going to plant. The first one is called Aquarius. And it has this really cool purple that I absolutely love because I love pinks and purples. I like lots of pinks and purples in my garden. So I have that one. And then the second one, oh, I lied. I have three. This one is called Mahogany. So it's got a bright red. One stem broke. They have a really distinct smell. And this one's called Jacob Klein. And it has another red flower a lot like the Mahogany. This one gets a lot higher. So the Mahogany gets 2 to 3 feet tall and 1 to 2 feet wide, and the Jacob Klein gets 4 to 5 feet tall and 2 feet wide. Ooh, that's cool. I looked at all this at the nursery, but that was like 3 months ago. I haven't had a chance to plant these yet. The Aquarius also gets 3 to 4 feet tall and 3 to 4 feet wide. This one's going to be my centerpiece, like the middle one, and then the other ones are going to be planted around it. And then this one is also a Jacob Klein, so that's going to go over here. Okay, cool. So I've already said the genus is Monarda, the species is didyma, the family is Lamiaceae, which is the mint family. You can always tell a mint because the stems are like square. So if you spin the stem in your fingers, you'll be able to feel how square it is. That's a mint. And they also usually have a very distinct smell, which this one does. It's not unpleasant. It's a little muskier than most mints, but it does smell quite nice. It's native to Canada and the United States. Here's the Bonap map for this variety, and its USDA zone is 4 through 9. It has several common names, including, but probably not limited to, bee-balm, spelled 3 different ways, bergamot, crimson bee-balm, horse mint, Oswego tea, and scarlet bee-balm. The species epithet is Latin for paired and refers to the flowers maturing in pairs, one on each side of the stem. Although this pattern is obscured as more flowers in the clusters open. The leaves are opposite each other and the flowers are borne from the leaf nodes. The leaves are lanceolate or ovate. They typically have a serrate margin and there are sometimes hairs present. They're usually about 3 to 6 inches long and 1 to 3 inches wide. They are also fragrant. They also have an interesting texture. It's not quite rough like sandpaper, but it's definitely, you can feel the fuzz on it. The flowers are actually a flower head with many individual flowers. They can be edible, they are quite showy, and they usually bloom summer through fall. Each individual flower is tubular and has 2 to 3 rays or petals, and it typically blooms from July through September. How to grow and take care of this plant. Best grown in rich, medium to wet, moisture-retentive soils in full sun to part shade. It prefers rich, humusy soils in full sun, although some afternoon shade is appreciated in hot summer climates. It does best in well-draining conditions, but it can tolerate some heavier clay. Soils should not be allowed to dry out. Deadhead the flowers to prolong summer bloom. Divide the clumps every 3 to 4 years to prevent overcrowding and to control the spread of the plant. Provide plants with good air circulation to help combat fungal leaf disease. Deadhead flowers immediately after bloom to prevent self-seeding. Spreads by rhizomes and self-seeding to form colonies. Some varieties can reach a height of 4 to 5 feet and may spread rapidly by underground roots. Blossoms attract bees, hummingbirds, and butterflies, and the leaves have a minty aroma when crushed. Native bees will nest in the dead hollow stems, so gardeners are encouraged to cut back stems to 12 to 24 inches and allow them to remain standing until they disintegrate on their own. So I'm planting these today. It's very hot. I bought these months ago, but just have not had time to get them in the ground. Shocker. But they prefer a moist, rich soil, which is not what I have. And I have tried growing bee-balm before, thinking it was drought tolerant. It absolutely is not. It managed to survive despite my neglect. But what I'm going to do with these today is amend the soil as I plant. And I'm also going to plant with copious amounts of water because it's 9 a.m. and it's already almost 80 degrees outside. I also need to plant it on the side of my yard that I actually water more often than not. So this is going to be up closer to my house where I tend to water every few days. That way the soil does not dry out too much. Another thing to be aware of with powdery mildew is that it is susceptible to fungal disease. And if it gets water on the leaves and the water sits there, it will likely get powdery mildew and or rust. It can also get powdery mildew just from being too stressed, which is kind of amazing that these haven't succumbed yet because I keep letting them dry out in their little tiny pots. So that's one reason I've got to get these in the ground today. This plant can be a butterfly magnet. It provides color and contrast for the perennial border, cottage garden, wild garden, native plant garden, meadow, herb garden, naturalized planting, or along ponds or streams. It can be used in fresh cut arrangements, and it's a good plant for butterfly gardens and bird gardens. I wasn't able to find any specifics about which butterflies or pollinator it supports, but it sounds like it's pretty much everything. And typically, red flowers are more attractive to hummingbirds, and the purples and blues are more attractive to butterflies and bees. Typically, not always, but this is one that you can plant and you can expect to see lots of wildlife on. This is a plant that if it's happy, it should bloom for several months all through the summer. So pretty much all summer bloomers will be blooming at the same time as this one. One of my favorites is Echinacea. Another is Rudbeckia. You'll also get your Oriental and Asiatic lilies and your daylilies at the same time. Most of your milkweeds will be blooming, salvia, and several things really. So this is one that is pretty safe to plant just about anywhere. As long as the soil, the water, and the light exposure are correct, it should grow, it'll be happy, and it'll persist and give you many, many years of beauty. It attracts bumblebees, swallowtail butterflies, and ruby-throated hummingbirds. It is also a larval host to the hermit sphinx, orange mint moth, and the raspberry pyrosta. Members of the genus Monarda support the following specialized bees: Duphoria monardae, Perdita gerardi, and Protandria abdominalis. Dead stems are used by stem nesting bees. This plant is also typically resistant to deer and rabbits. So if you need a deer-resistant garden or a rabbit-resistant garden, but you want pollinators, this is a good choice. First, pull back the mulch. So I mentioned that my soil is not rich or humusy. My soil is essentially sand. It's sandy loam, which is usually great, but I have more sand than loam. So there's really just not enough for this plant to eat, more or less. Therefore, I'm going to add some compost. Just a little bit of compost to the hole. For this little start that I'm hoping takes just a little bit, should be enough. That in there. And like I said, I'm going to stake it. Hopefully hold it up. One more tip about something like this. Since this is blooming, this piece of the plant is going to put all of its energy into this flower and its seeds. It will die for the sake of its babies. So if I want this to survive, I actually need to remove this flower so that it can focus on its leaves and its roots. Now I'm going to water it in. And return the wood chip mulch for the bowl. I still have a moat there, so it should catch and hold water and help it get established. It's just under the wood chips, which will also help it establish by reducing evaporation. Make sure to break up the roots. These plants like full sun, but I know it looks like I'm planting them in shade. I'm not. It's just shady right now because it's first thing in the morning, but this spot gets full blazing heat for most of the day. Monarda didyma can spread by creeping rhizome. I've never noticed that with any nursery plants that I've bought before, so I'm assuming that it's the wild varieties that are more prone to doing that, but you'll want to be aware of it whenever you buy any of this. If it's a straight wild variety, it's probably likely to spread by rhizome, which can be very difficult to deal with in a manicured garden and honestly not really ideal. But if you're going for a wild pollinator garden, doesn't matter. Or a meadow or anything like that, that's totally fine. But plants that spread by rhizomes tend to pop up all over the place, and that's not really what most gardeners want. So you'll want to be aware of that before you buy any of this. Side note, when a plant spreads by rhizome or stolon, the original plant is considered the mother plant, And all of the successive plants that pop up by the root are called the daughter plants, which was the inspiration for the shirt that I'm wearing. My shirt says mother, and then my daughter's shirts, my kids' shirts, say daughter on them, and they have a shorter milkweed that came up from the creeping root. So if you'd like a shirt like this, check it out in my swag shop. Link will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope it was valuable to you and that you learned something new. If you did, remember to tell me by hitting the like button. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments down below. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do that so that you get more gardening content in your video feed every week. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the garden. And its USDA zone is 4 through 9.
Okay. What you doing?
I'm trying to film a video.
Okay. We must.